What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Dirty and Driven Podcast. My name is James Devaney. I am your host on this fine, beautiful Tuesday episode post Labor Day. This is the show where we bring people to the blue-collar world, teach them how to kick ass. Our mission here is to gain, train, and retain solid people in the blue-collar trades. We're here to talk to you about an awesome topic today, one that is relevant to everybody in this planet. Today, I'm joined by the illustrious, the wonderful, the bodacious, the talented Casey D.
How are you?
We're coming off of a 3-day weekend recording on Labor Day, the day for our people.
Yeah, the day of rest. We're recording.
Yeah, man. 24/7, 365 grinding on the Dirty and Driven Podcast.
Yeah.
Now, this is my rest. This is my...
It's not work if you enjoy it.
Yeah. This is our release. You know, we could pay money for therapy. We could pay for antidepressants. We could pay for hookers and blow. But we have decided to pay for podcasting. So some people do drugs and some people hurt people. And you guys probably think we do both with this podcast.
It's a labor of love.
It's a labor of love. So that's why we're out here today. But anyways, man, it's been a 3-day weekend. Labor Day, just want to touch on that. That is for the people. That is for everyone who's out there making it happen in our society. You know, we gotta have these kinds of people in the world. You know, we gotta have people, laborers. We gotta have people working in the trenches out here every day. And thankfully we do have that. And that's most of you guys listening. So appreciate it. If you are working today or you had to work over the weekend, that's like bonus labor points, I think. That just means that you're very valuable to our society and that we couldn't run without you. You know, there's a lot of people who had to work today. Police, for example, because I got pulled over on the way to the studio. They are still working today. I've seen some road projects still going on because they have tight timelines and they can't stop. And I hope that they are taking care of their people, not giving them the weekend off. And grocery store clerks, all those people. Thanks for working on this weekend to let a lot of people have a little bit of rest.
Labor Day, observed each year on the first Monday of September. Labor Day is at heart a celebration of the hard-won achievements of America's labor movement and recognition of what workers have contributed to the nation's prosperity. Why do we celebrate Labor Day? Rooted in the labor movement of the 19th century, the holiday originated during a dismal time for American workers who faced long hours, low wages, and unsafe conditions. As labor unions and activists advocated and fought for better treatment for workers at the height of the Industrial Revolution, the idea arose to establish a day dedicated to celebrating the members of trade and labor unions, according to History.com.
Nice. Yeah, man. So it's for the people, by the people. So anyways, I don't know. That's all I have on Labor Day. I'm not going to go into a deep dive history of Labor Day. But it's cool. A lot of people, I think a common misconception with Labor Day too is, that it's for like military. I mean, that's what I thought it was for a long time.
Really?
That's what I thought whenever I was like a little kid. That's what because you see the American flags up, but that's just the beautiful thing is like, people put flags up and all that, but it's just saying it's proud of the people of America that make this country so great. And that's just the everyday blue collar people that keep our society running.
Organized by the Central Labor Union, the first Labor Day holiday was celebrated in 1882 in New York City, according to the Labor Department. On that day, 10,000 workers took unpaid time off to march from City Hall to Union Square, according to history.com.
Nice.
There you go.
Well, there we go.
By 1894, 32 states had adopted the holiday.
Yeah, and the average age range of those workers that were marching was 13 and a half.
Labor Day became a national holiday in 1894 when President Grover Cleveland signed a law passed by Congress designating the first Monday in September a holiday for workers. All right, I'm done with that.
All right, cool deal. Yeah.
How you learn a little... That
learn
wasn't 80-20 there. That was 100%, at least according to what I looked up on the...
Straight fact, according to Casey's CNN app.
Yeah. Nah. CNN gets stiff-armed.
Yeah. If I sound hungover, it's actually not from drinking. It's, I guess, allergies or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and if I sound more Barry Whitish with my voice, I'm getting something too. So I don't know if James and I have been looking into each other's eyes a little too much, and we're kind of getting that,
I think it's the old change into the seasons.
Yeah.
I think, typically when I start feeling like this, it's usually a good sign. It usually means we've got another, week or so of like 100-degree weather, and then after that, it kind of starts to taper off.
Yeah, that means the groundhog didn't see, or he saw his shadow, and then we've only got a few weeks left until fall comes.
I think it's the bald eagle didn't see his shadow. Yeah, no.
Dude, speaking of bald eagles, I got a quick deal I want to talk to you about. I don't think I've ever talked to you about.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of sky burials?
No.
Well, here I am with my 80-20 stuff. This is a pretty cool little story that the eagle deal maybe think of it.
Sky burials?
Sky, S-K-Y.
Okay.
Burials. So, I guess that's still practiced today, but over in Tibet.
Isn't that how Leonard Skinner died?
Via plane crash.
Oh.
At least.
Not the same thing.
At least Ronnie Van Zant and, the other guys.
Okay.
But over in Tibet at elevation, they can't bury their people when they die because the permafrost is yay thick and then there's rocks underneath. So They have a couple options. And one option is to incinerate people. But in order to incinerate people, you have to pay fuel costs to end up, burning somebody. And that takes a lot of money to burn somebody.
Yeah.
And if you haul the bodies off of, where the Tibetan people live, it's going to cost a lot of money too. So what do? They end up giving back to the environment that provided so well for them. Mm-hmm. So, dude, check this out. You can look it up on your phone. They just started letting outsiders come in probably 15 years ago or so. They used to not let any photographs or anything happen, but you could see the tradition that happens. When someone dies, they'll have a guy that comes and picks up the body, and he'll go to a certain spot like this sacred rock, this big old boulder, and they've got a rope that's tied to this boulder, or there's like a stake in the ground that has a rope tied to it, and they'll strip the dead body of all their clothes. They'll tie the rope around the person's neck to where it's pretty tight like a noose.
Okay.
And then what they'll do is they'll take out a knife and they'll fillet the body open. Now just keep this in mind. This is pretty kick-ass shit. They'll fillet the meat open to where it's kind of exposed. Now keep in mind that obviously the person's dead, right?
Yeah.
The families I think can be there too to look at this, watch this ritual. Well, they'll fillet it open, and then what they'll do is they'll pretty much stand back and they'll do the old, and these big old, pretty much like eagles or buzzards or whatever, huge birds, they'll fly in and they'll just start eating all the meat and all the ligaments and everything off of this body. They'll pick it down all the way down to pretty much the bones and the ligaments, anything that's left, small pieces.
Interesting.
And during this time, the smaller birds that can't compete with the big birds, they're all kind of hanging out on the outside. During this time, that person that, curated the whole deal will go in and shoo the big birds out.
Yeah.
Then they'll go in with a hammer or, a mallet or something, and they'll start crushing up all the bones and everything that's left of the body that's there. And they'll sprinkle in like cornmeal and shit with it, and they'll crush it down to almost a fine powder. And then whenever they're done, they'll get out, and the smaller birds, to where they can consume it, the smaller birds will come in, and then they'll clean up the rest of whatever's left with the body.
Huh.
And that's just the whole circle of life. So they're giving back to what the environment that provided for them. It's a kick-ass way, really, to, instead of embalming somebody with a bunch of shit and sticking them in a coffin that's going to leak after so long, and
more sustainable. Yeah. I did that with an armadillo last week. I ran it over leaving my house, and there's a lot of buzzards in my neighborhood, and they took care of it.
Did you intentionally run over the armadillo?
I did.
Really?
Yeah.
What did he do to you?
I think the neighbors appreciated it. I live in one of those neighborhoods where everybody's very proud of their front yard. Not me, really. I probably wouldn't mow it too often if it wasn't one of them cultural norms to do. Because I hate mowing the lawn, really.
Do they get out their tape measure?
My lawn's a pain in the ass to mow. No, I don't think so. I don't think anybody's ever going to get out their tape measure and really come at me, but it's just one of them deals. So it's just kind of expected. So I mow my lawn, whatever. But it was out there tearing up people's yards. So it was the day I ran the triathlon. Actually, I see this little thing come scooting across the road, and I was like, oh, I'll run it over. Well, I missed. So I threw it in reverse Terry and smacked it over. And then just to make sure it was dead, I hit it again. And I come back later, and the vultures had clean picked that thing. Well, I guess they picked that thing clean. So
what if that was an innocent bystander that wasn't the one that was doing it? He was just on his way, to go see his family or something. Or she.
I mean,
oh, you're setting
what they say, you sleep with dogs and you get fleas.
You're making an example out of that.
I was making an example out of it. Yeah. Kind of like how people, they want coyotes to stay off their property. They'll kill a coyote and they'll hang it on a fence post by its head. I think it's by its head. A lot of farmers and stuff will do that to ward off other coyotes.
We do that with a lot of like flatheads and blue cats. After we'd clean them and stuff, we'd put their heads on fence posts.
To ward off other catfish from coming on your property.
Let them know we don't fuck around here. Hey, that was a nice shout out to put it in reverse, Terry.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, that was good.
That in. I can't, my normal my normal exaggeratedness is just kind of gone because my nose is so clogged up. So as you can hear there, that's just how it be sometimes.
Bet you that sniffing sounded sexy.
Oh yeah. I'm going to leave it in there just so everybody can hear it.
So,
did you work over Labor Day?
Yeah, I worked this morning.
So how's that work? I mean, because it's shift work. Do you still get paid for Labor Day?
Oh yeah, we get 150%. So we get, time and a half.
So you get time and a half plus holiday pay?
We get an additional 8 hours of work.
Yeah.
So
double bubble.
Pretty much. Even though I work 12-hour shifts, so it's kind of, how do you measure that?
That's kind of one of those things that I've always kind of thought on vacation stuff is like if a guy works 12-hour shifts or if he works 10-hour shifts, but you only pay him for 8, I don't know. I mean, like, especially whenever I worked on the road crew, it's like I'd work 60, 70 hours a week. And it's like, then you get your 8-hour holiday and you're like, yeah, it's nice. But at the end of that week, you're like, damn, my paycheck sucks.
Yeah. And then the more overtime you get, the more you get docked for. It's, taxes and shit. It's like,
well, and that's why a lot of people, like I made a post on, I put it on everything, but I put it on LinkedIn especially. There was people that were like, well, I want to work as many hours as I can and this and that, and you're so fucking stupid. And, they really wanted to argue with me. But I was like, dude, depending on how much you make, it depends on how much you make. But like whenever I was a peon laborer making $13.50, I could work 60 to 65 before it started going down. But a lot of guys I know, and especially now that the wages are quite a bit higher than they were whenever I was at that beginner level, it's like 55 to 60 hours and you're just giving the rest to Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, people sit there and argue, yeah, dude, I want 14-hour days and this. It's like, yeah, but it gets to a point where you're just giving it back.
Yeah, and you can start getting down to the old bean counting too. Like where's the, what is it? The diminishing returns, the point of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Like you can kick ass and put in a good 8-hour or 10-hour day. But then if you start doing the 12 or 14s or 16, you might start falling off and your production goes to shit. So,
yeah.
And plus how many people too, if you really look at the time they're at work, come on, man. Do they give 100% effort for the full time?
That's one thing that I used to work with this guy And that was his rule of thumb is he would go, and this isn't today's topic, but I do like talking about this stuff, is he would always say, man, he said, if you want a guy to be completely productive, he said, a guy at most has 10 hours a day before he's just toast, if he's working hard.
Yes.
Now, he was like, there's obviously, you can work 12, 14 hours a day, but he said those guys are going to start being a lot less effective in that many hours. And that's true, man. I mean, like whenever I was on the road crew every day, it's like 10 hours you can handle out in that heat easy. Like 8, yeah, no problem, dude. 10, yeah, easy day. Like that was good. But like once you got to 12, 14, you're just kind of starting to drag ass a little bit. I mean, even if you don't think you are, you are.
Yeah, especially out on the road cruise, man, in the elements.
Yeah.
Shit, dude.
Yeah. But it gets to a point where you're just mentally, physically tired.
Like a zombie, man.
Well, and then you don't rest up for the next day.
Yeah.
So if, like a one-off day, sure. I mean, but if you're doing it every day,
yeah,
dude, you're exhausted by the end of the week. And guess what happens from that? It's not just that, oh, well, they want to take away my hours, or, oh, I want all the hours I can get. Dude, you're a safety hazard. If you work a 70-hour week, dude, and I've worked plenty of 70-hour weeks in my time, by Friday, or if you're working Saturday, dude, you're toast. I mean, you haven't been sleeping well at night. You haven't been taking care of yourself, especially on a hot week. You're done, man. I don't care who you are. You are exhausted.
Yeah, either safety or digging into something. I guess that's safety too, or making a boo-boo that costs a company big bucks.
Well, you get to that point too of like, well, I just want to get this done by Saturday at noon, and then like you're doing everything you can, and whenever you start getting in a hurry, and I still see it all the time, people get in a hurry, and that's whenever people get hurt. That's when people screw up and break something, and it slows everybody down. It's kind of like you start speeding because you're late to get somewhere, and you get pulled over. Speeding up slows you down sometimes. Yeah,
anytime there's a mistake made out where I work, it's one of the contributing factors is rushing.
Yeah.
Eyes and mind were not on task. I always want to stipulate it to something.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, or like, if you're in the heavy civil construction field and you're in a piece of equipment and you get tunnel vision, dude, that's so dangerous. Because there could be a guy standing right next to you. He thinks that you know that he's there.
Yeah.
But you don't, or you knew that he was there. You saw him. He's your spotter or whatever, and then you do something you totally forget, and you're rushing. You're throwing that thing in reverse, and you can't. It's got blind spots. And dude, I've seen a lot of things get hit by a skid steer or a backhoe whenever somebody's in a hurry, and I've seen people get hit. Thankfully, none of them being super. Bad injuries, but I've seen a guy get whacked by a skid steer from a guy that just was in too big of a hurry.
Or imagine just like the boom or the old bucket of an excavator or something swinging around, and a guy just not paying attention.
Yeah,
I don't think he could stand up to a bucket hitting him in the head.
Well, no, I saw a guy get hit in the side on a job site I was on before, and it didn't really hurt him that bad. Thankfully, nothing was broken, but I mean, it bruised him up a little bit, and he had to go. I mean, they made him go to the doctor. He's like, I think I'll be fine. But, the company he was working for went ahead and said, no, go to the doctor. And, it's just people get in that hurry, especially later in the day. And like this guy may have screwed up earlier in the day, or you may have had a piece of equipment break down on you. So you've got to still meet that same production that was expected. So now it's 7 p.m. You're 45 minutes away from home, and you realize you still have a good little bit left to do. And like you're trying to hurry so you can get home before 9 p.m. And dude, people start doing stupid stuff.
What sucks too is when you can see the finish line, it's like 15 minutes or 30 minutes away. It's just
yeah.
And then do we stay and try to get it knocked out?
And that's when most of the stuff happens.
Yeah, or do we fucking pay for another hotel? Or,
There's a lot. I mean, dude, it's like whenever you have that last 30 minutes, that's whenever everybody starts really rushing. You see the finish line, you're almost done, and that's when people start screwing up. And everybody does it, at least at home on a small scale of like, oh, dinner's almost ready. I need to get this thing done. And then you start taking shortcuts and it starts really screwing you up. And instead of just coming back to it with a fresh mind the next day or a couple hours later or whatever, you end up breaking something. And I can't tell you how many times I've done that.
That's a tough call to make.
It is. Switching gears a little bit. So I was going to do a poll on Instagram about this, but I didn't get quite the traction I wanted to. So I figured it'd be fun for you and I to break down on the live on the Dirty and Driven podcast. And that was the official band / singer of the Bluecollar people.
I saw that.
Yeah. I noticed you didn't answer it.
Well, I was scrolling through that Instagram poll while I was driving.
And I should have framed it better. I should have just said, who's your favorite band or singer? Because that's how you really, because everybody, whenever you phrase it like, who's the official band / singer of the Bluecollar people, then everybody starts saying, oh, well, it's this or it's that. It's, but I just want to hear who's everybody's. I mean, because for all we know, it could be Katy Perry, but nobody's going to sit there and say, oh, well, Katy Perry is the official singer of the Bluecollar people. But if 10 people, that's their favorite singer, I want them to say that. You know what I mean? Well, that's not that I think that's going to be anybody's favorite, but you never know.
That's where taking polls in general always seem kind of skewed. It depends on your demographic that you're reaching out to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
a lot of intelligent people answer polls, except our polls.
Yeah,
because
if
I'm talking about political polls.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can, if you do like a not a legit poll, but if you put out a poll, but you're interviewing or you're polling people who are Democrats, you're probably going to get everything that's pretty much skewed towards or vice versa with Republicans. I mean, you can go find the people to poll to get what answers that you want.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I've never answered a political poll and they say, well, the polls show. So what polls?
I was thinking last couple of days, whenever you register to vote somewhere, do you have to choose whether you're a Democrat or a Republican or an independent on your voter registration?
I don't know.
I'm serious, man. So you're registered. I've been a known registered Republican for I don't know how long. And the kicker is...
Holy shit, you have?
Well, check this out. But the kicker is there's a lot of things that back when Trump and Hillary went against each other in 15 or 16, whenever it was, there was these deals to where you could answer. It was a pretty in-depth deal, like 100 questions. There were just questions that, gave you different issues and stuff, and you would just answer them. And when it's said and done, it would spit out where you fell into, Democrat, Republican, you lean more this way. And dude, on a lot of the questions and stuff, I was not 50-50, but I was pretty much close 50-50 on. There was a lot of things that were kind of Democratic views that, I supported. And there's a lot of things that were Republican that I supported.
I think that's most people.
Yeah, me too. But then, what getting back to it, do you really have to choose, or do you say independent, or do you just say none of the above? They need to have a none of the above whenever even when you're voting for people, when you go in and vote.
Yeah, and I don't like, and I don't want to turn this into it.
No,
we're talking about bands and singers going on the election, but I'm just saying, I wish that everybody could vote. I know that they have the primaries, and there's a reason they have the primaries. But I wish that everybody could vote in each primary. You know what I mean? Like, I wish that if you're a Republican, you could vote in the Democrat primary. If you're a Democrat, you can vote in the Republican primary. That way, and they're on the same day at the same place. So we all go and we all vote. For one, they're usually on different days. So now you get it all on the same day. And then we all vote on, okay, wouldn't that be a more representative sample?
I would think so.
I don't know. I don't understand the system. I'm not going to sit here and do my take on that. I guess I did, but I'm not going to go in depth because I'm not educated on.
But then how
all that works. I mean,
people have the same vote as, let's say you're super well educated on all the topics, all the issues, everything. But then you can have somebody who knows shit. They're just a straight line voter. They can come in and they can nullify somebody that really looked through all the issues and was well educated on it. Then you can have Joe Blow over here just come in behind you and vote the opposite way and totally negate your vote.
Well, I mean, that's the point, though. I mean, but it's the primary, so you have to choose one. You choose one candidate.
I'm talking about just in general, just like with your. So let's bring it back.
That's what a lot of people do. They vote straight party one way or the other, which I think is an issue.
Okay, I don't, and then we'll get out of this political topic.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But here's my deal. There's a guy I'm friends with. I played ball with him in high school, but he's a super duper lefty. Okay,
Played with his balls.
No matter what, it's just hardcore lefty. I mean, it doesn't. Donald Trump's a piece of shit. Republicans are idiots. And, dude, it's strong that way. Well, I went and voted during the every 2 years. The midterms? Yeah. I went and voted for that. Whenever I left, I did something because I knew it would gig people like him. I've got a couple of them. And I said, went and voted straight line all the way down, straight line red. I just did that, just threw it out there because I knew it would tick people off. And he's like, I can't believe, it's people like you that, And then I replied back, I said, honestly, if you're a Democrat, a staunch Democrat or Republican, when you go in to vote, really, when you go in to vote, let's say you're a strong Republican. When you go in to vote, really, are you going to go Republican? Oh, you know what? This Democrat over here, I actually like this Democrat against this Republican. I like this lefty over here. Or are you just going to go straight line because you want your party to get strong? That way you can get more things resolved. I guarantee you 90-some%, I don't know, but more than 90-some% of the people straight line because they're not helping their parties out whatsoever if they're voting on the opposite side.
Yeah. Well, people always talk about we need diversity, but they don't talk about what diversity is. They all think in terms of sex and race. But really diversity is how does everybody think? What is everybody's backgrounds? Where do they all come from? That's like I want diversity in whatever I'm at. If I'm in a board meeting, if I'm helping in a group, I don't want all people who think exactly the same, have the exact same background. Yeah, you don't want a bunch of old white dudes dressed like Jimmy Buffett. You don't want a bunch of. By the way, rip Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah.
Hard times, man. I didn't think that was the transition I was going for, but
damn, dude.
Damn.
Just like that.
You know what? I don't even want to talk about politics anymore. But anyways, diversity.
Back to this poll.
Diversity, yeah. Back to this poll. Yeah, we're done. We're not the people to talk about that.
I think made some valid points though.
We did. I wouldn't say that it was an uneducated
so with
polls,
polls can be skewed a lot of times is what I was getting at.
Yeah, so I did get right at the end of this, I got about 15 ballots for
You had 15 polls from all directions?
Yeah, I had 15 polls from all directions.
Sound like you had a busy week here.
Yeah. All of them were, never mind.
All types of polls.
Yeah. But
what was the majority?
We asked. Well, there wasn't really one. So I was going to put it out for. Like an actual poll. Like we did our Memorial Day official beer, the Bluecollar poll, and that one got a lot of traction. So we ran with it. We did the whole thing. All lasted all weekend. This one I didn't get too many. So first of all, since you didn't answer, who would you say either your favorite band or who you think the best representation of the official Bluecollar band or singer of the Bluecollar people is?
Nothing poppy country. Definitely not Luke Bryan.
I'm not saying who not. I'm saying who.
Well,
who is your vote?
But I'm giving you who does not. Who the polar opposite of what does not represent.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I mean the pop country.
But I think it all depends on a location too. Just kind of like with the beer thing.
Just tell me who your vote is.
I can tell you my vote, but I'm going to preface it with I like Americana, Red Dirt, Texas country. Just all that kind of flavor there.
Yeah.
If you want to talk like a really good blue collar person, there's a guy named Chris Knight. I've mentioned him to you before.
Yeah.
Chris Knight, if you want to, he's from I don't know, Kentucky or some of the coal mines, and he always sings about. He always has songs, living on the farm, coal mine, sweating, dirt under his nails, spike driving blues, all types of just really cool shit. He's got a really cool blue collar type of style. I like that type of style. I mean, obviously I like Turnpike Troubadours, but any type of that genre. Now, That's my answer. I know it was kind of vague, but
So Chris Knight or Turnpike Troubadours is maybe your answer.
yeah, just that style of guys. I ain't gonna hate on any style of.
I'm not asking you to hate on anybody. I'm asking you to show love to your favorite.
Yeah, but those type of people.
Okay, okay. I like that. Colton McCormick said Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, he was being funny.
He's a big Guns N' Roses guy. But man, I'd say. I guess I didn't vote on it either. For me.
You didn't vote on this poll, but you like your posts.
I don't like my posts.
Bullshit, dude.
I do on Facebook.
Yeah,
because you and I both do.
Post dirty
Casey and I
driven.
have an unwritten pact. I use my personal Instagram to like my dirty and driven stuff.
Everybody, I want you to know to get the numbers up. James will post something for dirty and driven on Instagram or Facebook. And then after that, you'll see that, hey, there's one like already. Oh, it's James DeVinny like the Dirty and Driven.
Well, hey, you'll see on Casey. Casey will post our latest podcast on his Facebook, and you'll see there's one like on it. And he'll post it on Casey Anderson Facebook page, and then the one like will be Casey Anderson.
Yeah, got to get them numbers up, man.
Got to get them numbers to boost the algorithm. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't. I would say probably my favorite that I've really been into lately. I'd say probably Zach Bryan. That's who my vote would probably fall to. And just looking at stats, that's a top artist that people listen to the show, because I can see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I'd never, ever listened to Zach Bryan until you kind of started mentioning him a couple months ago when we were talking.
Yeah.
So I started doing the old rabbit hole with him. He's a pretty cool dude.
He is.
And he's from Oklahoma?
Yeah, he's from Tulsa area. I don't know if he's from, he might be from Oologah. I know a lot of his band's from Oologah, but I know he's kind of from Tulsa area.
Yeah, and then, I watched him a little bit on the Joe Rogan deal, and it was cool to see that, I guess he was in the military, and he had pretty much did the old, started recording a few songs with his guitar, and some of them started getting traction. Then he kind of pretty much blew up overnight, and next thing you know, his little side hustle became his main hustle.
Yeah. No, I respect him because he's just gone about it in such a blue collar way. Like he's basically said, I don't want to be a sellout. I don't want to, I don't want big corporate America to use me. Like he kind of said, fuck Ticketmaster, and put on his own stuff, which a lot of people didn't like, but I think he took a lot of arrows for that. I think that he made concerts affordable for people. And I mean, they sold out instantly. And then people weren't reselling their tickets because it wasn't bots and Ticketmaster buying them and marking them up 1,000%, and I think that made a lot of people mad because they couldn't get tickets, but you can only sell so many tickets. But I just like his attitude, his demeanor. It's just he's just authentic. You know what I mean?
He's cool dude.
He's
I've really kind of started to get into his stuff, and it's cool to see that in 2024, him and Turnpike are touring together.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and go see that.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
I love both those bands. All right, so one person voted on your behalf, Casey. They said that your vote would be Kenny Chesney.
I can only imagine who said that.
Who said it?
Mr. Park.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Yeah, we'd always go to live concerts. We'd go to Love and Warren, Texas. It's a place down, I'd be wrong, Fort Worth or somewhere, but it's really cool. It's called Love and War, I think is the bar, but serves food, but they always have outdoor concerts. And it was on Sunday nights, and I remember he would get a hold of me, and Chris Knight and all these guys would play. And they would. This is kick ass, man. They would air it live on Sunday nights, like at 6:00 from Love and Warren, Texas, on the patio. But they would air the Chris Knights and stuff like that while they were playing live down in Texas. But you could tune into this, whether on the internet or whatever. If you're local, you could tune into the radio station and listen to them live.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, during these live shows and stuff,
the show would be live and you're watching it on a screen at this
or
bar.
listening to the audio. This is back before they really had, streaming stuff, video wise. But with that being said, anytime we'd go to live anytime we'd go to live concerts, is there anything y'all want to hear? And there's always that one guy, they either say play Skinner or play some Kenny Chesney, because Kenny Chesney, Kenny Chesney was a Luke Bryan, 15, 20 years ago. Ain't nobody going to play Kenny Chesney.
Yeah, which honestly, I never hated Kenny Chesney.
I know, because him and Jimmy Buffett have a lot of vibes together.
I was going to say, I never felt like he got too pop country. I mean, some of his stuff did, but my first truck, all I had was a CD player. I didn't have Bluetooth. It was right between cassettes and Bluetooth. This is 2006, and so I couldn't just like plug my phone in with the aux cord, but I had no other way of like playing music. So it was CDs only, right?
Right.
And it was also at that awkward time of like people weren't really using iTunes and like burning CDs anymore. So it was just like I had to literally just buy CDs. So
let me give it to you this way. Kenny Chesney is the Nickelback of country music.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
You know what I mean? He's got good stuff, but a lot of people really won't claim that they listen to him.
Yeah, I had a Kenny Chesney CD, and this was also back whenever like Florida Georgia Line was first getting big.
Yeah.
And dude, back then everybody loved them. You know what I mean? Like they never. this was like the rise of pop country. This was their first album that was actually pretty good. And then, I mean, now I'm like, they're not really my thing. Like, I don't want to listen to most of their stuff.
Well, they got that one guy that spun off on his own now, and it still sounds like, because he's the lead.
He was the lead singer.
Yeah, so it's it'd be like Steve Perry from
Journey,
going and doing Steve Perry. Journey broke up.
Well, yeah, I just listened to a podcast with him. Actually, he was on one of my favorite podcasts, and he's got a pretty cool story though, as most people in that position do. He's like, dude, we weren't trying to be pop country or whatever. He's like, we just liked hip hop and we liked country and we were from backwoods Georgia, and he's like, that's just the sound we made,
Guarantee you. Oh, speaking of that, have you ever seen the video of Florida Georgia Line? They were in, what's that place that they've been playing? And it looked like the place in California to where Turnpike Troubadour, Stagecoach. Have you ever seen Stagecoach?
The barbecue restaurant up north of here?
Yeah, no. Stagecoach. It's a big venue in California. I think Colton could.
Coachella?
No, not Coachella, but it's Stagecoach. It's a big venue that they do every year. It's like, the Rocklahoma, but in California. But it kind of looked like that on this video. You can look it up. The lead singer, I got to give props to the Florida Georgia Line guys. In the crowd, dude, it was a perfect camera angle. Someone took a beer, and it was in a cup, a clear cup, a 16 or 20 ounce cup. Might have been a little bigger. They were in the crowd. They were probably at least 50 foot out. And while the singer's kind of, standing on the amp, the lead singer for Florida Georgia Line, this person throws the cup, and it's kind of like coming towards the camera and the lead singer. And the cup isn't doing end over end. It's pretty much like vertical when it was thrown.
Oh, yeah.
And it's probably half full or half empty of beer. When it's thrown, while the lead singer, without a beat, he's standing there, oh, yeah. And then he reaches up with his hand and catches the cup perfectly to where barely any beer went out. And he holds it up, and then, he drinks. Dude, it couldn't have been more perfect, like the old flip
so
cup.
Gross, dude.
Yeah, but dude, it was, you know what I mean? I mean, especially with the crowd.
Oh, it's badass, yeah.
Even if the band's drinking apple juice, making it, we're drinking some fucking whiskey, everybody, let's party. Well, that's, you know what I mean? That was so perfect for the vibe of the concert.
Yeah. I've heard that whenever they were big, I had a friend who went and saw them, and he was like, dude, they're so cool live. And like, I used to like them. I mean, whenever Cruise came out, I was in high school, dude, and everybody was like, damn, dude, what is this? This is cool. But, obviously now.
What about On the Pontoon? On the Pontoon.
That was a freaking jam, too. It's still a jam.
Yeah, that was about that same time, wasn't it?
You can't go to the lake. I think that one was maybe a little bit before.
Motorboating. No, we weren't talking about that type. But what type of motorboating are you talking about?
Yeah.
We're talking about
this poll is going off the rails. We've been talking about it for 10 minutes, and we've covered one artist that somebody voted on, and it was a fake vote. So Kenny Chesney. So far, Colton of the Certified Wrench, big on Guns N' Roses. Casey's vote was Kenny Chesney, as according to somebody else.
That's probably one of our consistent listeners and posters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Number one of our tops for sure.
I think tops. Yeah.
Probably. Definitely top 3.
Yeah.
I would say maybe top 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
got to send him some merch.
Shout out to Park.
Yeah.
Somebody said Leonard Skinner. You got to have Skinner on the list.
Yeah, dude, that's a standard right there.
Yeah, I mean, Southern rock, it's as somebody who's in a band, I still love listening to Leonard Skinner. Like, if I'm running, I can get down to Freebird. Still love Simple Man, stuff like that. But
dude, that
as
smell.
somebody in a band, I sometimes despise Leonard Skinner just a little bit. Because, like, you're sitting there playing, you have your set list, and then there's always like 10 dudes that are in their mid-50s who are, Leonard Skinner!
Another thing that...
Freebird!
My buddy that taught me a lot about music, he owned the Rockin' Horse up north, and he was in Battle of the Bands, and he won it down at Frontier City back in the 90s. He was in a country band. He was a drummer. Dude is very articulate. He knew a ton of shit. But one thing he'd always do, like if I was up playing a set list, playing like a little acoustic jam, which I was decent. I wasn't anything to laugh at. He knew he was such a great heckler, man. His name was Greg. And he'd yell up to me or any other band. He'd be like, hey, play something that you know. And I'd just be up there like, motherfucker, I do know this. Come on, seriously, play something you know.
That's funny. So yeah, Skinner's a good one on the list. I'd say everybody can get down to Leonard Skinner. But I know people who hate it. Like the guys in my band, of course, 3 of the guys in my band, they're in that age range and they used to play it all around. 13 years ago, our drummer, our rhythm guitarist, and our lead guitarist used to all be in a band together. And so they hate Leonard Skinner. Those dudes, they cannot stand Leonard Skinner. And one of them, our rhythm guitarist, his saying is, "Life is too short to listen to Leonard Skinner." So
he's got some problems, then.
Yeah, he doesn't like them.
He doesn't know the true blue collar.
Yeah. So he's but they used to do a little ditty, and I think I've talked about this on the show before. But they still do a little ditty about
we don't play Leonard Skinner.
Yeah, they used to starting to Sweet Home Alabama. Yeah. So, anyways, one guy said, I don't know, but here's one for the truckers. Ronnie Millsap.
Oh yeah,
I love Ronnie Millsap. Prisoner of the Highway, as he specifically mentioned. I can't think of that song off the top of my head.
But you know Ronnie Millsap was blind, don't you?
No, I didn't know that actually.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. I like Ronnie Millsap.
Oh yeah.
Of course, somebody said right now, right at this moment, Oliver Anthony, which, yeah, I mean, he's kind of got the blue collar anthem right now.
Watch out saying that because Colton.
Well, Colton's also a big Oliver Anthony fan. He loves that song.
Yeah, he loves that and Guns N' Roses, man.
Yeah, he's
getting a lot of shout outs.
So, yeah, he voted twice. I'd say that's a good one on the list. I don't know that I'd make him the official, but I agree. Oliver Anthony's a good. I mean, I'm not surprised he's on the list, and he's good, man. I listened to his podcast with Rogan. I enjoyed listening to him. He's just authentic. I like him. I see him just kind of like I like Zach Bryan, dude. I just like that real, authentic, raw music. Hasn't been commercialized. You can just really feel and hear the pain. And he's got a cool story. I really enjoyed.
Yeah, and he's actually listening to him too. He's not a dumbass. He's pretty articulate in anything that he talks about.
Yeah. Did you listen to that interview too?
Yeah, I got about halfway.
Yeah, I'm not quite done with it, but I got 2.5 hours in. So
there's only so much time.
Yeah. By the way, you mentioned Battle of the Bands. Actually, I'll get to that in a second. Brandon Bing, Bluecollar Swaller is our boy Tim with Del Boro Aftercare. I don't know Brandon Bing. Do you know Brandon Bing?
Huh.
I guess I haven't heard that. I'll have to listen to that one.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up.
Bluecollar Swaller. I will have to look that up. This is actually my real vote right here, or one of my votes for official blue collar artist, Kid Rock. We got a vote in there for Kid Rock, so can't argue with that one. This one, okay, this was a little bit surprising. John Mellencamp.
No,
it's kind of. I was like, I don't know. That's a little. I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody would say I hate John Mellencamp, but I don't know. To me, John Mellencamp, and I have some of his songs on my playlist, but a lot of his stuff's kind of chick music. If like, you know what I mean when I say that?
Yeah, and I think not the ageism, but ageism. I think the person who said John Mellencamp was probably a little older than me.
I can't tell from their profile pic.
And it's tough to really enjoy people like that too, knowing where they lean.
I don't care, dude. If somebody makes good music, I don't care. I mean, as long as they're not like raping kids, I don't really care which way you lean politically.
Yeah.
Jason Isbell. I mean, do you like Jason Isbell?
Oh yeah.
I mean, dude, that dude is as far left as they come.
But what does he do with kids?
Nothing.
You mentioned his name right after you talked about.
I'm just saying,
kids.
like you're saying you don't like to enjoy people if they lean one way or the other. But
honestly, I don't know enough Jason Isbell stuff. But you brought that Brandon Bing, or who is it?
Brandon Bing.
Bing. When I just Googled it, it brought up Brandon Bingham, and that reminded me of Ryan Bingham.
Ryan Bingham, yeah.
Yeah.
I like Ryan Bingham.
Yeah.
He's not my favorite, but
he's got some good shit.
And then Rex Sherburne, dude. This guy wins the poll. Guess who he put?
Who?
Just guess. This makes him a real fan right here. A real one.
Fading Fast?
Fading Fast.
Did he really? God.
Dude, that's awesome. Thanks for that, Rex.
Yeah.
That made me... I was like, dude, I haven't... That's hilarious.
Yeah, has Fading Fast even released anything?
Our first song... That's what I was about to say. I'll get to the Battle of Bands thing here in a second. Our first song is done. I'm going to practice after we're done recording, and we're going to kind of talk about release date. So... then the rest of the album's currently being produced. So everything's recorded. Everything's just in the mixing stage right now. So I'm excited for it. It'll be cool. But this Saturday, if we have any listeners in the Oklahoma City area, we'll be playing the El Reno Battle of the Bands this Saturday, September 8th? I think that's what Saturday is. So, or September 9th. Saturday, September 9th, I think it is. Playing at 8 p.m. So, come check out your boy if you're in the area. We'll probably win.
Yeah, isn't El Reno just on the west side of Oklahoma City? On I-40? Off I-40, I think so.
Kind of southwest.
The reason why I remember El Reno was back when I was selling Kirby vacuum cleaners, I got attacked by a Catahoula dog. Mm-hmm. He tore me up pretty good, that little fucker.
Really?
Oh, yeah. That's a hell of a story.
Really?
Yeah.
I dated a girl in El Reno for a while. Guess that's kind of the same thing.
Went from dog to reminding you of that girl.
Yeah. Well, I spent a lot of time there in high school. Anyways.
You don't want to hear about my quick dog story?
I would like to hear your quick dog story. You're giving me the eyes like, yeah, I got to tell this one.
I've never been in fear or afraid of dogs ever. Just... respect them, but, I know, hey, buddy. And I was selling them stupid ass vacuum cleaners, and we found a house out in the country in El Reno, looked like a great house. Went up, knocked on the door. I was wearing my old khaki pants and a nice shirt. Well, knocked on the door, nobody answered. And the vehicle that I rode in with the guys, it was kind of parked below the hill. Well, I went around the front door just to the side because there was a tractor running around to the side. I went around just to let them know. I wasn't even going to really try to sell. Just going to let you know I was here, but I know y'all are a bit. Excuse me. I went around the side of the garage to where the tractor was. When I went around the side of the garage, there were 3 dogs right there that didn't know I was there. And right once I turned around the corner, all 3 of them, like I startled them. They all hopped up and they all surrounded me. And there were 2 bigger dogs. I can't remember what kind they were, but there was this Catahoula dog, like a blue heeler is what it looks like. Cow dog. He was right in front of me. And the other 2 dogs, fortunately, they didn't really growl or anything. But this fucking Catahoula, he growled at me and shit. And I was like, hey, buddy. And next thing you know, he reaches out and he, with his muzzle, and grabs a hold of my ankle and starts just ripping and tearing like an alligator. And I was like, what the fuck? And I had a little car vacuum cleaner. That was my way to get inside these houses. It was the gift. And he's on my...
It was a what?
Huh?
Well, what was your gift?
Like a car. It's a deal you plug into your cigarette lighter. That it's car vacuum cleaner, like a little shop vac deal. But like a little,
okay.
Hey, it's got a 15-foot cord. You can even vacuum out your.
I thought you meant like a model vacuum, like a Hot Wheels car, but a vacuum cleaner.
No, so what you do? So what you do is, in order to hopefully show off the $1,800 Kirby back then, was you knock on the door And hey, we don't want to buy anything. Hey, that's no problem. I'm just making sure that you got your car vacuum here, and you hold it out to them. And 9 times out of 10, people would grab it. If you stick something in their face, they'll grab it. And go, oh, hey, no, I didn't. No, I'm just dropping that off. But I don't want to buy anything. That's fine. That's a little gift for you. I'm Casey with the Kirby Company. That kind of breaks the ice. Giving them a gift. Then hopefully you can do your sales pitch to them. I had that in my hand. And when I came around the corner and that dog started tearing up my ankle, I started hitting him with this thing. And this fucker, I was hitting him in the head. It wasn't doing any good. So next thing you know, he goes for my ankle and I'm getting a little clearance from him. He jumps up and he bites my forearm. Oh. And when he bites my forearm, I kind of shuck him off. And then I hit him 3 times in the top of the skull, kind of like right between the eyes with my fist. So while he's jumping up, I'm hitting him in the head. I'm like, take that, you motherfucker. And I'm hitting him. Well, he shakes it off. Then he bites. Here, I'll show you my leg, dude. He bites my right shin. And I never even knew you had meat on the front of your shin back then. He took a big ass chunk. So, dude, I'm trying to make it back to the vehicle. Luckily, these 2 other dogs aren't doing anything to me, dude. Because like I said, I've never been scared or afraid of dogs whatsoever. I finally start making it down the hill, and the guys that I'm with don't even know I'm getting attacked by this dog, getting my ass kicked. And by the time I make it all the way down to the vehicle, this fucker's chasing me, and they finally see me, and they open the door. And right once I'm jumping into the door, that dog jumps up and bites my ass.
Kinky.
And he bites because I'm wearing those khakis. Well, whenever he bites, luckily my slacks were baggy, kind of in the ass part. So when he bit nothing but just slacks. He didn't get any ass meat. He would have got a lot of ass meat back then. He just ripped a big old hole in my deal, and I got into the vehicle, left. We ended up going to the El Reno Hospital. They don't do anything for canine bites. They just pretty much let them heal. But that spot in my shin, dude, it was at least almost 1.5 inches down into the meat of my shin. And so they go in to stitch it up, and they pull out the needle to deaden the area for stitches. And they start taking that needle and sticking it down into the open wound. Ugh. And I was like, whoa. I go, whoa, what are you doing, dude? Don't want you. And they're like, the hole is already there, dude. I mean, we're going to go ahead and numb it. Because I figured they'd go on the outside and treat the outside. They shot it up and they gave me stitches. Well, anyway, long story short, that was my story about El Reno. But here, I want you to see this.
Hopefully by next week we'll have our cameras set up when we show the cameras. Oh yeah, dude, I've noticed that.
Yeah, so that you could see like his teeth marks on the bottom.
Yeah.
But I never knew that you had meat like that on the front of your deal. But dude, it was that deep.
Yeah. Dang, dude, that's insane. That's pretty nasty. You know the wildest animal attacking story, dude. I don't know if we'll get to our topic or not. We'll try. Fine. My mom, whenever she used to be big into running, she ever tell you the time that she got attacked? She had a dog bite last year, but this isn't that story.
I thought there was one like 3 or 4 years ago when she went to a camp or something, like maybe with Jason or...
That was last year.
Was it last year?
Last year or the year before? It might have been 2 years
dude,
ago.
It's been at least 2 or 3 years, yeah.
It hasn't been that long, though. No, it was last year. I'm pretty sure.
It's been 2 or 3 years.
But she got bit, and that was a bad deal by a dog. But no, dude, whenever she used to run a lot, when she had the runs,
still got him.
She was running through. This was years ago. We still lived in our old house, or we still lived in like my original childhood house, and she was running, and there was a pack of animals, a flock, if you will, of turkeys. Dude, no lie. My mom got ganged up and attacked by turkeys.
Oh, dude.
Dude, I've never heard of anybody getting attacked by a turkey. But there was like 10 of them all together. And they were just, just feathering, hitting her. I mean, she was just getting beat the hell up. I mean, bitten, pecked at, feathers hitting her. Yeah. And there was this cable guy driving by.
Cable guy.
James the cable guy. And he pulled over and he's like, do you need help? She's like, hell yeah, I need help. And he's like, get in. She hopped in this cable van to get away from the turkeys and he drove her home.
Damn. Was that here in town?
Yeah. Dude, that's a crazy story.
Man, back to that, to wrap that up with that dog deal, I respected dogs and stuff and I never was scared. But after that situation that happened, Because, dude, I hit that guy clean in the skull, but it was probably the hardest part of his body, you know, right there on the top of the head. Dude, he shook it off like nothing. And these Catahoulas, just like blue heelers, they're only like 40 pounds, 40 or 50.
So it's not even a very big dog.
No, dude, but they're used for a reason, especially, you know, with cattle and shit like that, you know, to fend off and keep animals in check, because they're mean little fuckers, but they're like super duper loyal animals. But that little bastard, I can only imagine if the other two attacked me. So then you take something that's only 40 some pounds that did that to me. Now let's go twice the size to 80 pounds. You can only imagine what those type of animals would do to you.
Oh yeah, dude. That's why dogs can be scary.
So little word to the wise for people, if you go up, if you're like out in the country, or if you're showing up as a guest, not a guest, but if you're showing up unannounced, a little trick to do the old kind of honk the horn, just a little courtesy, bing, bing, and hopefully you won't startle these animals if there is an animal around the corner, because last thing you want to do is be separate from your vehicle and going up to the porch, and then the animal realize that you're there, and then you got a long ways to go.
I take it they didn't buy a vacuum from you.
No, they came out in the middle of the ass kicking when I was getting my ass kicked. They came out, and so they don't know. All they see is a stranger, you know, and the dogs are doing the dogs were doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know.
But long story short, they didn't buy a vacuum.
I was like, nah, dude.
Oh man. This has been the most off the wall show we've done in a while. Like we'll have like a loose thing we're talking about, and then it's just like from what we just go down some avenues on this one. It's fun though.
That's good shit, man.
Yeah. So to sum up the whole poll that we've been talking about for 45 minutes, I don't know who the official Bluecollar singer band is.
Well, that poll that you put out was kind of unannounced too. I think if we want like a real deal involvement, we need to.
Well, I feel like people just aren't as passionate about, like, you talk about beer, you know, you talk about like, hey man, listen to this band. People go, oh yeah, this is good or this is bad. They don't say, you know, it's not like Ford versus Chevy or Cat versus Deere or Bud Light versus Coors Light or, you know, what have you. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I like this music. I like that music. I don't really have a favorite band. They all influence me different ways, or, you know. It's not, people aren't taking a passionate stance on, this is the best band ever. It's kind of just in what you're into right now.
So what is the Bluecollar rap group?
Bluecollar rap group.
Yeah. That'd be a good. I'd have to go with some NWA, man.
I was going to say, I think NWA.
But it'd be tough to turn.
I don't know, man. Judging, I would say Beastie Boys. Because, like, my dad, for example, isn't going to listen to NWA. But my dad can get down to Beastie Boys. I think NWA is hardcore, and not everybody can listen to NWA.
Is your dad doing a lot of blue-collar work?
No, but I'm just saying, like, I think of a lot of, like, my dad's music taste is very similar to that of the people I work with. And, you know, he's, you know, Van Halen, and he's, you know, if it doesn't identify as 80s rock, he doesn't want to listen to it. It's kind of like he loves the Eagles, and my mom goes, you know, the Eagles kind of identify as a country band, and my dad like just gave her this face of disgust. He's like, no, they don't. You know,
I don't know if they identify, but a lot of their songs could fall into the country.
Got very heavy country influence.
Yeah.
I mean, and most of, I mean, they're more mainstream songs, are a little more rock and roll, but yeah, he wants to listen to 80s rock and roll, Van Halen, and you know, that's his. My dad loves Van Halen, but
yeah, dude.
But he gets down to Beastie Boys, is what I'm getting at, and a lot of people, I think the Beastie Boys is just far enough into the hip hop rap space that they are rappers, but they're also far enough into the rock and roll space that they can hang at a rock concert.
Yeah, and I think Beastie Boys, you could turn up on the job site compared to NWA.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, not everybody's like, you turn on Fuck the Police, and some people are gonna, you know, get down, and some people are gonna be like, hey man, that ain't cool. You know what I mean? Like I feel like NWA's, like, people can relate to the Beastie Boys songs. It's, you know, I was hanging out with my buddies drinking beer and we got into some shit. NWA is like, I'm dealing drugs, banging whores, and, you know, fighting cops.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4".
Slapping the bitches. Jocking the hoes. Or jocking the bitches, slapping the hoes.
Went to the park to get the scoop.
Knuckleheads out there cold shooting some hoops.
Car pulls up. Who can it be?
Fresh El Camino rolling Kilo G.
He rolls down the window and it started to say,
It's all about making that GTA.
Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah. Oh, what a song. You ever seen that movie, Straight Outta Compton?
Bits and pieces.
That's a good movie, dude.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite movies, I think.
Really?
It's a very well-made movie, yes. I watched it on a flight one time on the way there. They had it on the on-flight entertainment system. And I didn't really know who NWA was at the time. Like, I'd seen people wearing their shirts here and there, but like whenever I was in high school, people weren't like bumping NWA. Mm-hmm. Like later high school, once I was 17, 18, people kind of start, like, you'd start hearing it more. But that's when that movie came out too. Yeah. And like the description on the in-flight entertainment deal was like hip hop group takes over LA with like new form dance. What it was like, it wasn't even close. And I was like, but I'd heard people talking about it. I was like, well, I'll watch it, dude. That is it's a very well made movie. And then it was so good. I watched it on the way home too. It's one of the few movies I've ever just like watched back to back, essentially.
Yeah, they were big back in the late 80s and early 90s. And I remember my buddy had this convertible car, and he was kind of uppity, spoiled, but we'd ride in his convertible car driving down 14th or Grand here. And we're a couple of white boys, and we'd have NWA cranked up on the radio, in a convertible where people he had a good sound system.
Yeah.
It was so lame, dude.
Same. I had that too, man.
You sure it wasn't NWO that you're thinking of?
No.
You remember the New World Order?
No.
It was back in WCW days when there were some guys, Hall and Nash and Hulk Hogan and all those people.
Nope.
They turned face. They turned bad guys, and they were pretty much the angle was they're taking over. We're not listening to Eric Bischoff and the management with WCW wrestling anymore. We're taking over. We're the New World Order. And anytime they would beat people and pin them, and they'd be knocked out on the floor or on the canvas, they'd take black spray paint out, and they'd spray paint NWO on people's backs and chests. Yeah. So that was that was in the heyday of wrestling, man. Yeah. That's when the Attitude Era came, because Vince McMahon had to compete because WCW was taking all of his viewers. So Vince McMahon started doing his angles with Stone Cold Steve Austin and all them.
Yeah.
That was the pinnacle of wrestling, dude. Not the crap that they do today to appeal to everybody. This is back in the day.
Yeah.
But NWA.
Not quite the same. So anyways, I think we found the official rap group, Beastie Boys. I think we take
just like
that
cake.
I think so.
Not the Fat Boys? You ever listen to the Fat Boys?
Nope.
Oh, dude.
Dude, don't go on another rant. Easy.
And what about DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince?
What about DJ Khaled?
You know who DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince are?
Yeah, Will Smith was the Fresh Prince. Yeah.
And old Jazzy Jeff.
Marky Mark and the Funky Fresh Band.
Oh, yeah. Got them good vibration.
Yeah. Oh, boy. This podcast taking a turn.
Are we going to do topic or not?
We're an hour and 3 minutes in. Yes or no?
Nah.
You say no?
Nah.
Okay. We'll just leave it like that then.
So how are we going to put a bow on this?
How do we put a bow on this? I don't know, man. I would just say that, like, something I have actually wanted to talk about, and it's a shorter topic than what we actually had planned. I think the topic that we had planned, we need to actually allot a decent amount of the show to. But dude, I've had a lot of conversations with people, and we're starting to see more and more several companies that I work with and around are just telling me, dude, I can't find help. I can't find hands. I can't find this. I can't find, there's no one out there that wants to work, and I can't. It's becoming more and more prevalent to me that we have to start making some changes as leaders and as companies in this industry. And sure, it's not an overnight change. You're not just going to flip a switch and all of a sudden start getting hundreds of applications in and good quality people, but it is becoming more and more prevalent that people are retiring. People are getting out of the industry, and actually because of that, people are starting to treat their employees worse. And what do I mean by that? I don't think they're doing it intentionally, but now you have 3 guys that are experienced in your field. They're retiring. They're getting out because it's their time. They want to, or they're running into certain issues that they can't work anymore. They're just ready for it. It's their time. But that's starting to punish these other guys because, oh, well, now we're shorthanded. We have to work more hours, or we need you to do roles that you're not really suited to do. You've been doing this role forever. Now we need you to do this role. And you're asking, and a lot of times it's your older, more experienced guys that you're asking to put into new roles, and they don't want to do it. So what do those guys start to say? They start to say, I'm sick of this shit. And instead of taking one for the team, they're like, I've taken plenty for the team. I think I'm ready to retire. I've continued to work because I like to work, but now it's getting to the point where it's just not enjoyable for me to be here anymore. And we're actually forcing more guys to retire or to leave. So I really think it's going to be more and more important coming up to start truly auditing yourself and how you treat your people. Are you a company that people don't want to let down, and they want to be dependable, and they want to be accountable, and they want to show up and work for you every single day? And if you have a 19 through 25-year-old working for you, or maybe even multiple, are they telling their friends, hey man, you should come work with me? Or are they saying, dude, this place blows. I'm only going to be here long enough to find something else? Which one are you? Or are you you get paid good money here, but it sucks to work for. So like you could probably come work here for a little while, but people are going to leave you if you are not a cool place to work. It doesn't matter how much you pay them. There's so many jobs out there right now that you can make a living doing things, even if you take a pay cut. And frankly, in the state of our society, most people are deep in debt anyways. I'm not saying this is the way you should live. In fact, I'm very against this lifestyle. But the reality is a lot of people are taking loans out on things, and they're just trying to get enough to make their monthly payments for whatever it is they took a loan out on. So they might be making $20 an hour, but they're going to go work for Bob over here who's paying $17.50 an hour because they can make enough to pay off their debts and just keep on rolling, but they're happier there.
Yeah. I think if you work at a place that has a sense of community, and you have to have good leadership. I got a quick example of that. We had a safety guy at a place that I worked. This guy, anytime you'd bring up an idea, he would fully support it, whether it was a good idea or not. He wouldn't shoot it down. He wouldn't say, oh, dude, we've already looked into that. And he would make you feel like, hell yeah. Yeah, Casey, man, that's a great idea, dude. Shoot me an email, and if you want, I have a few resources, dude. Let's look into that. Anytime anybody, not only me, but other people would bring up ideas, they'd make you. He was a good example of a good leader, and they'd make you want to, hell yeah, dude. Make you feel like your idea was worth something. And this guy, he got more out of everybody that was around than anybody that I know. Unfortunately, the good ones never last. The good ones promote up or they move on because they're studs, they're ass kickers. Mm-hmm. Well, the person who filled the vacuum, his void, was a total opposite. I still had the same mentality. I'd bring up great ideas, dude, super duper good ideas. And he'd be like, no, we've already looked into that. That ain't happening. Well, what about now? It's been discussed. And, then you get to where you have your tail between your legs and your head down and you stop being ambitious and stuff. And the job that used to be fun that you were doing where you're really gung-ho about is just a job to where you show up at.
Yeah.
So with that being said, another way to get workers hopefully get the good help that you're looking for, you can look to the example with Aria with that Plateau Excavation, what she's helped do for that company.
Yeah.
Start using social media and stuff and reach out, make some really cool stuff, showcase the cool environment, showcase all the stuff that goes on, and really get the word out there. Come on podcasts like ours, really expose the company and the good values. And then next thing you know, you're getting those 40-some applicants every couple of days just to be heavy equipment operators. When she said 40 some applicants every 2 days. What they get, that was just for the heavy equipment operators. That wasn't for the field technicians and anything else. So that is a perfect example what she has helped do for that company. What you can do for your company to hopefully get applicants is start having a footprint out there in the social media world and just embrace it.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about gain, train, retain. I mean, first you have to gain people, but after you get them, what do you do? I mean, if you can hand them a shovel and just say, figure it out. Some people thrive like that, but I have thrived in those environments, but it's when people take me under their wing and they make me know that, like, hey man, I'm not going to hold your hand. All right. Here's the rudimentary basics, but they teach you lessons as you go. They don't rip your ass whenever you screw up. You don't screw up and they say, you're never getting back on this piece of equipment again. It was, hey, and people are still assholes at times. Doesn't matter how good of a leader they are, but they take you under their wing and you create a bond with that person. And most people stay at a job, not because of money, not because of benefits, but because whether or not they like their boss.
Yeah.
And I did a post about that not too long ago within the last few weeks of if you have a high turnover rate, it's probably because of management. It's probably because of the boss. And I've seen people that were good bosses and then they were either put into a harder position or given more responsibility. They didn't know how to handle it because they were not trained by their management above them. And then they become a shitty manager.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to handle that new position. And that happens a lot. And you see guys get promoted from being a good operator and they become a foreman because they knew how to run a machine really well. Well, now you're asking them to run people. And it's two different things. A machine, you tell it what to do and it does it. People, we all think we're wired the same, but we're not. And that frustrates us.
Yeah.
It frustrates me whenever I'm taking my brother out to help me with something. And I try to explain something to him and he doesn't get it and he's not doing it the way I want him to do it. And I'm like, and I use my brother as an example because I'm a lot harder on him than I am, say, employees. Because employees, they say, well, I want to do it this way. And I say, well, if it works, if it doesn't work, then let's try it this way. But for example, one thing you can do, bare bones basic, that's going to help your operations a lot. Learn how to effectively communicate and teach your team how to effectively communicate. Nothing is more frustrating to an employee, whether it's their first day or whether they are experienced, than getting out to a job site and you see 2 guys setting things up, getting things ready, and you see 10 guys standing around. Okay, learn how to effectively communicate to where those 10 guys know exactly what to do as soon as they hit the job site. Okay, you can make a list and you can say, all right, you do this, you do that. Don't just say, all right, we're going to get to the job site and everybody gets set up, because then you get the mentality of, oh, well, somebody else is going to do it, or that's not my job. But if you assign roles, then you say, all right, today we're going to go out there. You make sure we've got everything fueled up. You make sure this machine's greased. You go set up traffic control. You do this. You do that. You go start up this machine, get it, do your checks. You assign it to everybody. You be in this spot at this time. You be in this spot at this time. We're going to have trucks here at this time. And you get everybody on the same page instead of just throwing them out there and running around with the chicken with the head cut off. And then from there, after you assign those roles, because the thing is too, is most of these people know what needs to be done, but they're waiting on someone to tell them. So if you give them that role and you say, this is your role every day, you are responsible for this, then they're going to realize, oh, I have a role. And they're going to say, I can't miss tomorrow because somebody has to do that role. And if I'm not there to do it, who's going to do it? And then they either feel guilty, instead of calling in because they drank too late or because they just don't want to be there that day, they're saying, I'm responsible for that. I have to be there. And you're giving them a sense of pride. And then once you start going, so I worked with a company last week specifically on communication. They had a new guy running a new machine, and then they had a guy who is newish, been doing it a few months now, another machine. So one of them, it was an asphalt crew, and one of them was on an asphalt transfer machine that he had never ran before. Very experienced operator, but not on this machine. The other guy was on the paver. Well, some of the sensors weren't working right on the transfer machine, which that's the machine that a truck dumps into, remixes the asphalt, dumps it into a paver. Dude, he got the fundamentals down to run the machine quick. But these two guys have to communicate, and they were getting frustrated with each other because they weren't communicating. And so what did I do? I sat with the guy on the transfer for a while, and then I went over and I sat with the guy on the paver for a while. And I heard both sides of the story. And then I flip-flopped. And I went back to the transfer and then went back to the paver, and I said, okay, this is what this guy's saying. This is what this guy's saying. And then trucks ran out and they had to stop anyways. So I said, all right, everybody come here. And we held it up. They talked about it for a minute. They got on the same page. Everybody was happy the rest of the day. But we had to solve that communication breakdown first and say, all right, establish hand signals. We had to establish, hey, this machine's doing this, and that's why I'm not able to do what you're wanting me to do in a timely manner, or, things like that. And it's simple stuff like that of just learning how to communicate with each other. And then after that, they figured out how to communicate, and everything was hunky-dory.
That's good. That's a good example.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and if you're a senior on the job, if you're one of those two guys that are starting to get shit knocked out, and you've got guys standing around that are, there's guys and gals that need direction at times. So you might be the guy that, instead of waiting for the big boss to get everybody lined out, at least, hey, Mike, go over there. Hey, grab that conduit. If you would, go stick it over there. And then when you're done with that, come see me while he's still digging right here. And then, hey, Steve over there, you do the same thing. Kind of, at least lead a little bit, especially if you've got some years under your belt and you know what the project is.
Well, you've got to learn how to delegate. And the people who learn how to delegate are the ones who succeed in this industry. Yeah, and you have to learn how to delegate well. Like, you can't just be an ass. But if you see guys stand there and you're doing something, and especially if you're a foreman or something, and you just try to do everything yourself, you're gonna fail. You have to ask for help. You have to say, especially if it's a big job and there's a lot going on, if you just try and do it and hope people follow in your footsteps and will fill in the gaps, then they're not going to, because they don't know what you want. Especially if you're a guy who gets mad if someone does something wrong. So many people have been chewed out so much in their life, they're afraid to get it wrong because they've just gotten their ass ripped repeatedly throughout the years. So you have to tell them what to do.
Well, like foremans or superintendents, or even we have CFRs, construction field reps, I think, that run projects out where we're at.
Okay.
I think all of them kind of are in the same umbrella, to where they need to pretty much manage the project. They really don't. Now, if they need to get out and maybe show how to use a certain tool or what, yes, but their deal is to delegate all the work and make sure everything is running smoothly and efficiently, instead of really getting dirty. Nothing wrong with getting dirty, but they need to delegate that getting dirty work to the people underneath them. That way they can oversee everything that's going on.
Well, yeah, and you got to have a guy overseeing. Otherwise, you get too caught up in the battle.
Yeah.
So you have to be a good leader. You hear some guys, they're like, oh yeah, dude, my favorite foreman, my favorite boss, he was out there with us every day, this, that, the other. And I'm sure he was cool, and I'm sure he was great to work with. But I bet there was a lot of people who didn't like him as a leader because they fell through the cracks because he was too busy doing other shit.
Yeah.
And I get it. You want to be down there with your guys. You want to prove that I'm a good leader, I'm a good boss. But people... And there's times where you roll your sleeves up and you're out there shoveling with them. And there's also times where you're driving up and down the job site, or you're walking around, or you're in meetings, or you're talking to people, and your guys are doing stuff, and you're totally comfortable with them being out there by themselves because you know that they know what to do, because you made it very clear to them.
Well, there's management out where I'm at to where they will specifically tell the CFRs to, no, dude, that's not your job. Your job is to oversee this. Don't be getting in there and touching anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can show them, but sit back. That's for those guys to do, because you're going to miss something if you're in the trenches.
It is your job if you're there. So like Jocko says, he says that his most successful missions, his best missions, whenever he was running the SEAL teams, was whenever he sat in the Humvee on the radio and told guys what to do. He said those were the ones that went the smoothest. He said if he had to get out of that Humvee, that means shit went wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So It's the same kind of deal. People give their managers and stuff shit for sitting in the truck. But I think at the end of the day, if they're actually a good manager, people respect them and people know that, hey, that guy actually does work his ass off. He's in the truck or the trailer every day, but operations out here running smooth.
Which you can relate because you're in your truck all the time in the air conditioning.
Yeah, my truck or the office, really. I mean, no shit.
James, don't make me get out in the field. Don't you make me get out of this air conditioner.
Dude, I want to be out in the field. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I love being out in the field.
I'm giving you shit.
No, man. I know you're giving me shit. I'm just saying, like from that perspective is like, I love being out in the field. I love doing that. Like, I'm not afraid if I'm on a job site and there's 10 guys shoveling because a machine ran out of asphalt. You got to go and shovel in the gaps. Like, I'm not afraid to help. You know what I mean? And I like helping and I like being out there and I like doing that. I love running a roller. I love being in a skid steer. That is my favorite stuff ever. Like the other day, whenever I was out there helping these people figure out their communication issues, I love that. But if I'm out there, that usually means that something went wrong.
Yeah.
But
you ever get asphalt on your penny loafers or your khakis?
I don't wear penny loafers or khakis.
Steel-toed penny loafers?
Steel-toed penny loafers.
You know what penny loafers are, don't you?
Aren't those like weird dress shoes or something?
Yeah, kind of like the moccasins that you preferably don't wear socks with.
Oh.
But, they're kind of Sunday shoes, penny loafers.
Yeah, not my cup of tea there.
I figured you'd wear that.
No, I wear Twisted X shoes. Those are kind of good for what I do because they're real comfortable. Now, if I was on the crew, if I was out working in the field every day, those wouldn't be the best shoe, but they're good for being out there a few hours at a time here and there,
Twisted X and Twisted T, huh?
Twisted T. But anyways, man, yeah, just strengthen your communications. That was something that I just thought of this last week. And again, if you want, Dirty and Driven, that's what we're all about, helping people maximize efficiency. And people say, well, why would we want to be more efficient? We'll just work more hours. Well, you can still work more hours and be more efficient. That was an argument someone had with me was, well, I want to work more hours. I don't care how efficient the company is. Dude, you are the company. You are, if it's inefficient, I know it's frustrating you. Actually, that was a management person who said that. It was another one of those LinkedIn dweebs who was getting after me for, the blue-collar guy doesn't care how efficient the company is. It's like, yeah, but dude, I bet that they get frustrated whenever they don't know, they're not in the loop.
Yeah.
Whenever they're not in the communication, whenever they know that there's a better way to do things, but we're not doing it. But if we're doing it, they're a lot happier because things are running smooth and they get a lot more done in a day.
Well, what's tough is when the field has great ideas for changes on being more efficient, and a lot of times they'll propose that to their management, but by the time it goes up the chain or whatever, it'll just get stiff arm, kind of like that one supervisor, the one safety guy. It'll just get knocked down, and then you'll have your head down and you'll stop coming up with these good ideas because by the time it goes up the ladder, it gets shot down and you're still inefficient in the same spot where you were.
Well, and that's where big companies are inefficient too, is, you run it up the flagpole, but I hate that term, dude. We run it up the flagpole. Hate that term, dude. That tells me that you are not teaching your people to make decisions. That means that I have someone. So if I say that's someone, that means that I got someone over me who has to make a decision. They got someone over them who wants to be the one making the decision, and then they got someone over them.
And some of them are afraid to make decisions because they just want to coast along. And and dude, it's real. I deal with it, dude. It's real.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff is in Houston or let's say Florida. Or, it's separate from where we're actually at.
Yeah. And that's tough.
And it sucks.
It's like if you work with like Indian tribes. So like one thing that frustrates me, if I bid a job and we're doing a job for an Indian tribe, you want to make a change and it's got federal money in it. You want to make a change order for something, or you need to make a change order for something. You got to get approval from the tribe, and then they send it to the BIA office in Oklahoma, and then they send it to New Mexico, and then they send it to Washington, D.C., and then it slides around on 10 people's desks, and then they send it back down to those 10 people's desks, back to New Mexico, back to Oklahoma, back to the tribe. It takes weeks.
That's what's aggravating is why can't they streamline those processes?
Because it's the federal government.
But
I mean, yeah, I agree.
We deal with the same stuff. we deal with the same stuff.
So I had an interesting conversation with somebody the other day. He said, do you think that state governments could benefit from the services Dirty and Driven has to offer? I said, yes, if they actually applied them.
Yep, that's it.
But that's the problem is, and I get people hitting me up and they say, well, I want to do that. And then you tell them what all it entails and they go, well, I want to fix right now. You know, they want the magic pill.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people think that a training program or a gain, train, retain campaign program, not a campaign, gain, train, retain kind of program is you're going to give me a magic pill and it's going to fix all my problems. That's not what it is, man. I mean, it still requires work on your part, but when you put this work into play, you're going to have one of the best companies. And there's a lot of good companies out there, but the good companies are losing people left and right because there's great companies entering the scene. And the great companies are the ones getting the people, and the great companies are getting the grinders that want to make a difference and want to prove themselves. And the great companies are treating people and putting their people over their bottom line. And their bottom line is getting better because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't just take a magic pill to be built like a brick shit house. Takes a little bit of work.
Yeah. So anyways, man, we're hour 25. I think we're good to go here.
You're watching the clock?
I'm watching the clock.
Clock watcher?
Clock watcher. I got to edit this thing today, too.
Today's
can do Monday, dude. I mean,
where there's a will.
There's not much editing to do on this one.
No, dude, this is flawless.
Flawless.
I made sure to blow my nose off mic. Does it
picked it up?
Does it pick up picking boogers?
Probably not picking boogers. It'll pick up ripping out your nose hairs. I learned a couple episodes ago. That's only if you start crying. No, here's the minute marks. I gotta edit out some sneezes and coughs. But
damn,
we're some banged up units in here.
We need to do an over under on those before we start the show. Like, you know, what's the over under? How many coughs and sneezes do you think we're gonna have? We'll have 8, so 8 will be the over under. Do you think it's gonna go under 8 or over 8? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can start doing that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Casey?
By God.
Do something hard today.